You have the opportunity to take a 3-1 lead if you win these two home games. I mean, obviously one game at a time. Go win game 3. If you win game 3, get it done in game 2. But we can't have these lackluster performances. Like the problem is that the Lakers love to kind of just play around the first half and then lock down the second half. And we've seen them a lot of times. They'll still win that game, right? They'll be down 15 at halftime. They'll come back and they'll win by 10. And it's like, man, I mean, look at the first game in Memphis. We outscored them by like 20. We were down at halftime by 6. We were up. We outscored them by like 25 points or whatever it was, or 21 points. We outscored them by 21 points in the second half, right? So the Lakers are absolutely capable of like flipping that switch, so to speak. But you don't want to develop these habits, because the problem is that you're going to develop those habits and then you're going to end up playing a team like, the Phoenix Suns or the Denver Nuggets, or even in the next round, like Sacramento Kings. Like, like if you play the Warriors or the Kings, if you have one of those lackluster games like that, they're going to blow you out.
Well, yeah, they're just going to, they're just going to find the holes, eat it, like, eat the defense alive. I do have a question. What do you, because you bring up a good point. I think, and I don't want to necessarily target specific players, but I do want to ask you about two players in particular. Just for the last game, what was your opinion of Schroeder's and AD's performance just from the last
game? They both were kind of AD was a factor. On the offensive end, not so much. But here, let's start with Schroeder. Like Schroeder, we're still kind of waiting for that Schroeder game. And I'm not talking about a game where he scores 30. I'm talking about just like his ability to kind of go on these stretches.
Yeah.
Where he'll have a stretch where he'll make, 6 straight, 8 straight points, something like that. Or down the stretch, he'll hit a couple shots or play some solid defense. Like Schroeder, these last 2 games has kind of just been out there.
Yeah.
Like I felt like he hasn't really had an impact, even on the defensive end. He hasn't really had like a significant impact. So I have those concerns with that, but he's a guy with experience. I expect him to kind of pick it back up and get things back together. Anthony Davis, defensively, he's been absolutely brilliant. Defensively, I mean, these last 2 games might be the best defensive games we have seen from him. I mean, absolute clinic. Like the guy's been incredible defensively. Game 1, we saw him be able to put the defense with the offense, and we saw what that looked like. We got the win. But game 2, he just couldn't get the defense. He couldn't get the offense going. He had the defense, couldn't get the offense. Now, there was a lot of leniency on the Memphis Grizzlies side. I mean, there was like 3 plays where Anthony Davis was literally getting pulled on and like pulled down, and he was having to fight through it. Like, I understand fighting through some contact, but there's got to be some type of whistle. There has to be some type of order.
That's what I'm telling you. But bro, if you look at it, it's across all of like the NBA playoff games. It's the refs are being, I don't want to say consistently bad, but they're being consistently like with their lack of calls. It's been interesting to watch. Hey, like it kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like they're going back to the days of like 02 and 01, or like, like when the Lakers were on that like 3-peat, it's really, I don't know, but like just because of the playoff basketball, they're not calling what they would call in the normal season.
That's always playoff. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that's by design, but it seems like this year is so much. I'm not worse, but
there's definitely there's even in all the series there has been a clear home advantage, more so than I can remember. Like there's always kind of like the home whistle period, even in the regular season. There's usually one team that the
superstar whistle.
Yeah, and the superstar.
Unless you're LeBron and AD, because they don't. They don't even get a superstar whistle anymore.
Austin Reeves gets the superstar whistle more than LeBron and AD do, but
they give us a jaw. They give us a jaw a lot. But
yeah, you gotta make the adjustments. You gotta fight through it. I mean, Anthony Davis had some good looks that he usually makes that just didn't fall. Right? It's not solely on the refs. Guys got to play better. Like that to me, that's what it boils down to. Like game one, we were pretty much in control and dominated that game start to finish. We were the better team 40 out of 48 minutes. And outside of that second quarter, we were in control. And like I've said, dominate. And I've had people be like, "Oh, that they didn't dominate. It was close to the way." They dominated that game. There's different levels of domination. Like there's like back of the barn, take you behind the woodshed and just beat the dog shit out of you. And then there's just like dominance in the sense of like the Lakers imposed their will. The Grizzlies had no answer. The Lakers, every time that they wanted something, they got it. They controlled and dominated that game from essentially start to finish outside of that second quarter. But again, it comes into playing a full 48 minutes, which is something that the Lakers seem to lack. The ability to play 48 straight minutes. Now, is some of that just, lack of experience? Is some of that jitters? Is some of that chemistry, lack of chemistry, right? There could be some, which is why I think the more the Lakers play in the playoffs and the farther they advance, the better I think they will get, right? Because if they beat the Grizzlies, by the time we get into the second round, that be the Kings or the Warriors, you should have your rust already off. You should have those jitters should be gone. You should have an understanding of what your game plan is. You should have an understanding of like what guys' roles is. Like everything that are questions going into the playoffs, all should be answered by the second round. So my hope is that come the second round, they won't have these lackluster performances, and they'll better be able to play a full 48 minutes. Now, runs happen, games happen. It's part of the game of basketball, right? Basketball is essentially which team goes on more runs, right? And but still, like there's things that you can control. There's things that you can do that just clearly didn't get done in game two. They weren't as aggressive. They didn't match the physicality. They weren't taking good shots at times. Guys weren't hitting shots. I mean, we had guys that had wide open looks. They usually knocked that down and just did it, right? But it's more so than that. Like, okay, your shot's not falling. Go draw contact, get to the line, attack the basket, be aggressive, be physical. LeBron James taking those step back threes, right? And shoot. I mean, I don't mind him taking a couple threes in stretches because if he starts knocking them down, it opens things up, right? And he wants to conserve his energy. That's a way you do it. You just take a couple threes. So I don't mind it. Yeah. But when half of
he can hit them. I mean,
he can. He's a streaky shooter. But when half of your shots